Okay, so I wanna preface all of this with, Chris. This is I usually let you do your thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of your passion project. Like, you are the creative force behind us doing this podcast here.
Okay.
I'm just along for the ride.
Okay.
So I typically leave your descriptions and whatever, like, that's up on you. But I would like to propose an alternate title to this episode, okay?
Okay.
When you brought up this topic to me, you posed the question, what the fuck is Sleep Token?
Okay.
I would like to propose the question, how important is authorial intent? I'm going to leave that thought now. You will understand why. Let's move on. Chris, we listened to Sleep Token. Or rather, I'm assuming we listened to and did research and watched people talk about and tried to figure out what the hell Sleep Token is all about, because they are exploding right now with their release of their third full album. And I don't know where you want to begin, Christopher, because as always, we have not really discussed this, so I do not have a clue where you're coming from in this.
Jeff, I don't know where I'm coming from in this either, because basically I've been seeing and hearing articles about Sleep Token since about January. They've existed for a couple years before this, but I hadn't really heard about them until January. Things started blowing up. And it's a name that I saw one time, 2 times, then I said, oh, I've seen that before. Okay, this band's obviously coming up. And, normally I check them out, or maybe I don't, and they go away after a couple months. But it kept coming up, and it had some interesting article titles that I sent you. One of the earliest ones I remember are "Forget Ghost, Sleep Token will be your new favorite metal band." That was back in March. The one that I must remember from around January is "Sleep Token, what's behind the rapid rise of the mysterious mass collective," which refers to them as an alt metal band, which has had a sold out UK tour. And like you said, their third album came out very recently. There's been a lot of hype around the singles that have been dropping since earlier this year. But I hadn't listened to any of the singles, and I just kind of kept seeing this name, and I was vaguely interested. And I started seeing words like genre mixing, R&B, pop. So we got more weird pop mixed with metal, right, Jeff?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, without really understanding, because there's lore to this band, there's, all kinds of, well, we'll get into it, but I just kind of was like, Jeff, I keep seeing this thing, let's check it out. Went over great for Avenged Sevenfold, right? See what happens. So, we both listened to probably varying amounts of Sleep Token. I mostly hung around the new album.
Okay.
But I did go back and check out the last 2 albums. What I wrote reads like a review of Take Me Back to Eden, but it applies to everything I've heard on all 3 albums, I think.
Okay.
But there is one song that's a non-album track at the end that I'm gonna come back to.
Oh, I didn't do that at all, actually. I made a playlist of just their 3 albums. Sundowning, This Place Will Become Your Tomb, and then their newest one, Take Me Back to Eden. I just made a playlist, and I let it go.
Well, there was a cover that stuck out to me, and I had to check it out. But
I don't know if I looked. I don't think I saw that at all, so I have no thoughts on that as a thing. So let's get the gatekeepy shit out of the way. I do not care about the argument of whether they're metal or not. People do it with Ghost. People are doing it with this. I don't care either way. I will say that I stand on the side of, I think they are metal less frequently than they are other genres, and I find it odd that they are described as primarily a metal band when I think that is a small portion of their sound. just because you have occasional heavy, djenty guitars, I don't think that qualifies you as a metal band. That is not making an opinion. That is just like from a like trying to think musically perspective. I'm just confused why that's the label they get more than anything. Does
Trying
that make
to
sense?
be objective. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just find it odd. I just find that very, very odd. But I will have to say that I had the thought originally. So I just, like I said, I made a playlist, and I went into this knowing nothing about the band. I just put it on shuffle, and the first thing I hear is the song Levitate, which is off of the album Sundowning. And it is the least metal sounding thing imaginable. And I really was starting to have the thought of, in what world are these guys a metal band? Now, mind you, I did eventually obviously get into other songs where, like, yeah, I see it. There's definitely some metal influence here. There's a lot of, it vaguely reminds me of Periphery in that it's like wall of sound, just big open chords coming at you kind of thing. But I will have to admit that I did have that brief moment of like, no one should be calling this metal. I don't understand this. I really do think that they are more a alternative R&B pop group sound-wise. They're more of like an ambient R&B thing, I think, more often. But that aside, all that aside, getting that out of the way, letting go of the genre thing,
Do you want to, before we get into the music, do you want to at least touch on what the concept behind the band is supposed to be?
Yeah, so the concept so the concept is whether they like to admit it or not, they're copying Ghost. Like, I'm sorry, that is not up for debate. They are doing the whole people in masks being anonymous with really dark imagery shtick. Say it, admit to it, and move on. It is not a bad thing in and of itself. Right? It is not taboo to say that. Just admit it.
I'm not going to argue with a word you say. I'm just going to give you their concept, I guess. Their definition is that the singer is a vessel for a god known as Sleep, and every song that they are singing is supposed to be a token or an offering to the listener from the deity. I offer that context up only because it makes me feel less uncomfortable when the singer sings lines that make him sound like a manipulative weirdo. Like, you want me to say you want me, but I'm not what you need, but I am. Is that what it is? You want me to say you don't need me, but I am, or something like that? Yeah.
Something like that. I do not have a lot of the lyrics memorized, certainly.
You say you want me, but you know I'm not what you need, but I am. There we go.
Okay. Yes, so all the band members, they are vessels. They are bringing the message of the god that can only be known as Sleep, because its name is unknowable to Shut up, Cthulhu.
I was just say, I love calling it Cthulhu.
It's Cthulhu. Okay, this whole mythos around these guys is so Lovecraftian, it hurts. I mean, straight up to like they are cult-like. It is all that he is spoken to in dreams. There's this quote going around how Sleep is the god that had granted people the glory of dreams, but also the curse of nightmares. Or just shut the fuck up.
Oh, great.
First off, all of this dream talk, right? Sleep talks to the singer in dreams, and they communicate in dreams. You do dreams, and there's so much dream imagery. There are few things in this world that are less interesting than dreams. Okay, there are exactly two people in this world who can talk to me about their dreams without me actively telling them to shut the fuck up, and that is my girlfriend and her 6-year-old daughter. Otherwise, unless your dream story takes less than a minute to tell, I want to hear nothing about it. They are images that your brain connects and just like arbitrarily makes a story, so they don't mean anything. Shut the fuck up about dreams.
If your dream story doesn't make me laugh, I don't want to hear it, man.
if your dream story doesn't involve something also happening in real life, right? Like I have a coworker who recently had a dream that her husband was cheating on her. And then she woke up and she was still really mad at her husband. And she didn't realize it for a while why she was mad at him. Like, it's a thing that happened. Like, I get it. It's fine. That was a thing. I'm okay with that. Do not talk to me about your dreams. And there is just so much dream talk in the entire lore and mythos of Sleep Token. And again, shut up, Cthulhu. Just shut up.
Absolutely. Evidently, this is more of a one-man project. I guess someone said that he has a drummer, and it's mostly or completely written and performed maybe by one guy, and the rest of the band is a touring group.
This 100% feels like a one-man show. Like it is a single guy who has a concept in mind and he's running with it, which I have no problem with. I don't mind that in and of itself.
Good for him in that regard.
I just think the concept is stupid. Stop.
Well, you think the concept is stupid? Let's get right into it, Jeff. What do you think of the music?
So the problem is, I don't think you can separate the two.
Okay.
I really don't. The entire band's existence is centered around this whole story. They're, again, they're an anonymous band. They're another one of those. Which, if you would have told me a month ago, hey, would you like to hear another like anonymous band and be part of that puzzle trying to figure out who they are, right?
Yeah.
I would have been all on board. Like, I thought that that's something that I wanted. Because I've never been part of the fan base during the early stages of that. Like, Slipknot, I became aware of way too late. I believe we already knew who all the members were and whatever. Like, I think they had already dropped the numbers shtick and whatnot. And if not, I wasn't actually a fan until way, way, way later. Either way. Ghost, when you first introduced me to Ghost, it was already not known definitively,
we were already speculating.
But like, it was very strongly assumed who the lead guy was. There was a lot of strong evidence that it was, Tobias Forge. I thought I wanted something like this. But now that it's like it exists and it's in front of me, maybe it's because there's so much more to figure out. Like people are more worried about figuring out the story and the lore that I guess we're not worried about who the people are. But I'm just not interested in knowing who the people are. And I thought I would be. But again, I think it's because it's overshadowed by the whole story, that he is this messenger or whatever. So we've talked before about this concept, this idea, this theory of why we might hate some music that we hate. And it is, the theory proposed by a man named Adam Neely, is that a lot of music you hate might be because it is so close to something you love and something you want it to be, but it falls short in just certain specific ways. It's almost like an uncanny valley effect, right? Like it's almost there, but it's just wrong enough that it's awful.
We have talked about that before, and
we
have
a few times.
Where you're coming from with this.
Musically, there's a lot I really like here.
Oh God.
There are some songs that I absolutely love.
Oh no.
There is a song called "Are You Really Okay?" It's on the newest album, Take Me to Eden. So I'm sure you know it. So you really don't like this?
I'm gonna send you a little image I made.
Like, do you really not?
I hope that it gives you the file name as it's sending.
Okay.
No, I guess not.
You really did. You have an image that you called "Are You Really Okay?"
No. The image is named shittoken.png.
Oh, I don't see that.
And I sent you it's a picture of you listening to "Are You Really Okay?" on Spotify.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
As shown on Discord, and it's Kermit the Frog doing the nervous face going, "Oh no, he likes it, doesn't he?"
I do. I think that song is beautiful and haunting and desperate, and oh my god, I think that song is incredible. The problem is I'm listening to it and then I remember that this isn't about some unrequited love. It's about some bullshit Cthulhu insect woman demigod from what I've read people say. And that's where it loses me. I think if this man would just suck it up and accept the fact that he's a pretty damn good writer of like depressing ambient R&B pop songs, I think I could be all on board with what this man does. But because he surrounds himself with the most obnoxiously like writing school 101 style lore built up behind him, I can't deal with it. I really can't.
Jeff, do you have anything else nice to say?
Do you have anything else nice to say?
Yeah, I have credit where it's due. I think the piano is really nice. I think it might be the most interesting instrument on the
credit where it's due. I think a lot of the music is actually, quite frankly, credit where it's due. When they're not pretending to be metal, I think they're really good. As a metal band, as a metal band, this is the most 2002 Hot Topic bullshit I've ever heard. This is like someone described what Deftones sounds like.
Oh my god. Okay. Spoiler alert.
What? That's what it is. It's like they played a game of telephone, right? Where like you have like 8 people describing to each other what Deftones sounds like, and then the last person has to do it.
See, I think we're gonna agree with many words that we're going to say, but I hated this.
I'm not surprised.
This was torment. This was torture. If you like this band and don't like when people say mean things, you're not going to like anything I say after this point. I'll give them this. I'm agreeing with you on the mythology and shit. I think he paints a vivid picture with his lyrics sometimes, which I like. Diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night sky, or whatever. It's kind of corny, but kind of poetry, high school poetry. But I'm kind of on board.
Yeah, it's kind of juvenile. But in a way that I can appreciate.
A lot of the songs, though, I think if I try to take them as an unrequited love song, it sounds kind of incel-y, which is weird.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're definitely. It's definitely like a lot of it veers on the world of cringeworthy.
Yeah, but I just thought this was abysmal, and I like weird genre mixing. I normally kind of root for that kind of thing. I think there's a lot of entertaining musicians who do that. Mix rap and metal and pop and all that stuff has been done in really creative ways. And I don't think this is especially creative because I thought half of the songs sounded like a mediocre pop song for half the duration, and then it replaced the bass drop with the most mediocre mallcore gent I've ever heard in my life.
Again, I think the weakest aspect of it, aside from the story, the weakest aspect is when they're trying to be metal. I think he is at his best when he's being depressing ambient R&B.
I guess, but I don't even the like R&B / rap / trap / I don't fucking know whatever aspects also sound very run of the mill. I don't think that sounds like, and the whole thing is just fucking mixed like a brick. So there's no dynamics between the pop part of the song and the metal part of the song. It's all fucking loud. The whole thing.
Yeah, so it is definitely mixed like a modern pop album.
Is trap the right
word?
There's
again,
like 40 subgenres of electronic music and they all suck.
Yeah, there's a lot of trap beats. Yeah, that would be accurate. There's a lot of trap beats in it. Which I think that's just coming down to a personal preference thing. I certainly don't mind them. I don't think it adds anything to the songs, but I certainly don't mind it. But no, I mean, I really do think, there's a handful of songs here that I think would be really great songs stripped of the gross context of what they are. Especially on the album Take Me to Eden. There's a lot on here that I think is trying to be sexy, ?
It's very strange.
It's very suggestive, and again, we're talking about a character who is possessed by or singing to a occult god. And that's just really dumb, to be honest with you. Again, and I'm not really sure where this is coming from. I've read that sleep is described as an insect woman god of some sort. I don't really know where that came from. I have found no explanation as to how we know what sleep supposedly looks like.
Okay, I don't know for sure, but I think that was in one of the music videos or something, and I was just like watching the music video for something to look at while this music bored me out of my fucking skull.
So again, I don't watch music videos. I really feel like maybe I should when we're doing these weird concept things.
Well, I was hoping for some visual stimulation to go along with my fucking audio boredom.
I just find music videos so awful.
You know what? They've really fucking fell off since they become a YouTube only thing, and there's no fucking televised music video channel. I mean, not that MTV was ever like a good thing, probably for the music industry, but I liked when people produced videos in the 90s, and then everything became lyric videos for a while, and everything's like low budget now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think they're bringing in the money they used to.
Right, obviously. They used to be used to promote albums, and no one knows. Spotify promotes albums now.
Yeah.
You don't sell physical copies much anymore. You already know if an album's coming out if you plan on buying the physical copy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no surprises.
Even the vocals just felt flat and uninteresting, and it sounds like he added effects and it made it sound AI generated. It's not to say he's incompetent. He sounds fine, but like... He tries to get flashy sometimes, but I don't think going all over the place with your voice is the same thing as having emotion. I don't care for it. His harsh vocals are fine. I don't have as much of a problem. It's like what I'm used to from that genre. But the metal that it's in front of kind of sucks usually.
I mean, so again, I think this is where we're just gonna split on personal taste here. It's all overproduced.
Yeah.
But again, I think coming from the style of music that it really is, because it is not to be gatekeepy, I'm just stating like how genres are defined. This is not metal. Like, this is not a metal band. And if it is, at best, it is like early 2000s like pop mallcore metal, right? It is extremely overproduced. There are constantly effects on his voice. And that's the point.
Yeah.
Now, what I was curious. I was watching some live performance videos, and I'm going to, giving the benefit of the doubt here, right? I am going to assume that he's not lip syncing and that this is all like a live performance, but they sound really solid live. I think especially the front man here. I think he sounds great live.
Yeah.
But we are definitely, again, we're getting into a vocal style. Like, he is very much an R&B style singer who just puts himself in front of periodic djenty guitars. Right.
And I agree with that, but I don't know, man. Even the R&B, I'm just not impressed, really.
Have you listened to the song Fall For Me by any chance? Here, let me describe it this way. It's the song that's literally just Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap.
Yeah, I think I did, and that's the one that doesn't get heavy, right?
I don't believe it ever does, but it also uses the exact same like vocoder effect as Hide and Seek. So I was having this thought for a little while listening to them. On one hand, I'm very sick of artists feeling like they need to be a genre, right? Like, it's like, oh, well, we play this style of music, that's what we do. Mm-hmm. I think that's a concept that I'm glad we are seeing go away a little bit. Right, Led Zeppelin on the same album could do an acoustic folk song, a blues song, a hard rock song, and then throw in something that has like danceable grooves just for good measure.
Yeah.
And that's just what they did, and that was common for bands in the 60s and 70s, and then the 80s started ruining that.
What the hell even is an early Queen album? What genre is a 70s Queen album?
That's kind of exactly my point.
I love that the jazz album has every genre but jazz on it.
Right? But a lot of what Sleep Token has done, to me, the way I'm hearing this, feels like he sat down to write a song and he said to himself, I want this song to sound like insert song by artist.
Mm-hmm.
So Fall For Me, it's like he sat down and listened to, again, Hide and Seek is probably the biggest one that has this very specific sound. There's a song, A Perfect Circle did a cover of a song, and I'm drawing a blank on what song it is. It's on the album Emotive. It's at the Fiddle and Drum. Is that Joni Mitchell, I want to say? And it has a very similar, like, multi-tracked vocal effect on it. And I feel like Vessel sat down and was just like, I want to write that song, and he wrote Fall For Me. Or he'd write some of his heavier songs, and he's, like, putting on a Deftones album, and he's like, I want to sound like this for a track, and I want to sound like this for a track, and then I want this song to sound like this. And it's like, there's a lot of variety, but everything here, not everything, a lot of things here sound very, very similar to something that already exists. Like, this is definitely a man who wears his influences on his sleeve.
Yeah. I know I even bring up Deftones at some point, because I know I said, at its worst, this sounds like he took a pop song and a gent song and sewn them together without, like, any effort to merge the two genres. It's just like pop song and then but like with gent music instead, right? And at its best, it sounds like a modern reimagining of nu metal, where the pop is more updated, the metal is more updated. But if you told me this is what the Deftones sound like now, I would believe you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This whole project is
that's my review of The Summoning, because
it's Deftones.
Yeah, that song is Deftones, because like I said, the thing is, like, for as different as this album tried to be, I don't feel like individual songs do much different, and there's like 5 songs that did something different. That's one of them. Vor is more heavy throughout, right? But I liked it better when it was called Death Heaven.
That's exactly my point.
Just put on the Sunbather album. Monster Ballads called and wants to talk about Are You Really Okay, but I don't want to talk about it. And for me, Ascensionism was probably the best song on the album, but that's probably just because it tried to do the most things within the confines of its mixing. And Do You Wish That You Loved Me is not only the worst song of the year, but probably one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
So I'm really glad you mentioned Ascensionism, because that is the one song from people who give this album a negative review. That is the one song they seem to agree is the most tolerable. So I'm glad you are running par for the course on that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like I said, that's the one where I think it goes the most all over the place. And it's like, yeah,
it does.
If you're gonna fucking mix the genres, go nuts.
Yeah, it's probably the most interesting song. I don't think it's the best. Personal preference here. It's just really not anything I'm particularly interested in. Can I also just say I'm glad you brought up the song Vor?
Yeah.
Just because apparently it's going to be a thing now where I reference weird pornography fetishes. But that one I know for a fact is a fetish.
Yes.
Unlike when we were watching Bocchi the Rock and I had mixed up a word. I mixed up something with futanari or whatever as like an egg-laying fetish. Vor, which is just the Latin word meaning like to eat or something along those lines. Vor is an art style fetish. Do not tell me otherwise. I'm pretty sure that's literally what the song is about anyway.
The title is a reference, Jeff, to how they fucking ate Death Heaven style and fucking spewed it back up on the album.
Alright.
I'll fucking send you a Death Heaven song and tell me it's not the same garbage.
Chris, because I'm obsessed with reading interviews from people now. Can I send you some quotes to make you hate these guys more than you hate Billy Corgan? Can I read a couple?
I don't think it's gonna be hard at this point. I'm about to forgive Billy Corgan for putting out that shitty album because everything I listen to sounds better after I listen to this. I hate this album.
Can I read a couple of these?
Yeah, go for it.
Quote. As musicians, we are inspired by the human condition and a plethora of artists.
Fuck off!
But we are deeply moved by his words and continue to do our utmost to bring them to life. As followers, we are bound by a duty to combine our crafts to create music that conveys some of our most primal and powerful emotions. Hold on, and I have another one. Quote, our verses are a token, crafted to magnify and embody the multitude of emotion that writhes in our subconscious. Sonically, our voice is rooted in the resonation between the notes and your emotion. Take our hand.
Anyways,
Shut
this
the fuck
shit
up,
sucks.
Cthulhu.
Garbage ass R&B stapled to garbage ass metal. Fight me. I'm not gonna sing praise for them for genre mixing when it's the fucking most milquetoast pop I've ever heard, stapled to gent by numbers. I'm glad they have a fan base. Good for them. I don't get it. I'm glad they're connecting with the metal community, but for all of the shit metal fans give bands like Nickelback or fucking even Imagine Dragons, apparently they'll accept any shitty pop music if it ends by ripping off Meshuggah. Fuck the metal community and they've turned away so many awesome bands for not being metal enough, and they're gonna champion this. Fuck off.
I mean, surely, I want to meet anyone who complains about Ghost but listens to this. I really do. I want to meet them and I want to know what the hell's wrong with them. Okay, Chris, like, do not get me wrong. This is not good. Like, on the whole, I am giving this a 1 out of 5.
Giving this a positive number upsets me.
Well, that's not how my scale works. There are a few songs on here that I genuinely do like. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't. I genuinely do really like a few of these songs. The problem is, they're not the songs I want them to be, which is going back to my proposed title of how important is authorial intent. Should I care what the author says? Because if I want this song to mean something else, I hate the fact that it is tainted by his bullshit Cthulhu thing. And I'm not just bringing up Cthulhu over and over again. There is one of their hidden Easter eggs was they were releasing singles, 3 singles in a row, that in the artwork for the singles were coordinates. And if you got all the 3 coordinates, it brought you to whatever that part in the Pacific Ocean is that's like the most remote part on Earth. Right? Like, even these guys are pointing to like the middle of the ocean. Like, it's just Cthulhu. Just shut the fuck up. They're talking about Cthulhu, all right? Sleep is just Cthulhu. He talks to people in dreams. Just shut the fuck up.
Jeff, you can't spoil it. That's not... They haven't made enough money to put out the album that reveals that.
I don't care what they're doing. I'm not going to revisit them.
Well, okay, how about talking about authorial intent?
Yeah.
Let's talk about a cover that they did.
Okay, let's do that, I guess. I don't really want to, but let's.
Did you even happen to take a peek?
I'm looking now. Hold on. Singles and EPs. They covered Hey Ya.
Jeff,
I'm not even listening to this.
Their cover of Hey
Ya
Ya makes me want to eat my own fucking head. This is ass garbage, okay?
Yeah, I
don't think we talked about it on the show, but we were discussing one night the idea of what makes a cover bad, right? And we discussed that Hallelujah video that you don't particularly agree with everything with.
Yeah. By Tantacruel.
But I think that there is a point to, like, when you sing something in a way that ignores the original author's intent. The idea of Hey Ya is that it's this kind of depressing song juxtaposed against this catchy thing that ends up being played at your cousin's wedding, despite it's being how miserable a relationship is, right? He literally says, y'all don't want to hear me, y'all just want to dance, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with Hey Ya. Like, I am not the biggest Outkast fan, but I think that they're fine, and I think that's a cool song for that. Why the fuck would I want this sad, overly dramatic Puddles Pity Party version of Hey Ya?
Oh man, I love the callbacks to Puddles.
Fucking listen to it. Please, give it 30 seconds and tell me this isn't just a Puddles Pity Party version.
No, I don't need to because I can already tell you exactly what it's gonna sound like.
Ugh.
Like I don't need to, and I'm going to completely agree with you. If he did it in his dark, ambient, sad R&B style, like no, he missed the point of the song.
Oh my god, I fucking hated
but
this.
you know what? If he can ignore authorial intent, I am also going to. That is not changing my rating of Sleep. The answer to what is Sleep is it's I'm sorry,
Token.
Sleep Token.
That's
no,
not...
the band's no. Sleep sucks too. Don't even defend.
No,
it. Fuck Sleep.
no. Sleep sounds 10 times better than whatever. The fucking Dragonaut's a better song than anything on this album, even if it's that one fucking song. I don't care.
But that's the only song
I don't give a
wrote
shit.
That was good.
Fucking
but whatever. No, Sleep Token is not good, and this is not something I'm ever going to revisit. I am mad that they ruined what could have been a couple really good depressing songs by surrounding it in I'm just gonna call it out for what it is. I have tried, and I still periodically try so hard to get into Lovecraftian style horror, and I just can't. I'm sorry.
Sure
I don't no, I can't.
Yeah.
The whole Eldritch God bullshit is stupid.
Well, okay, but you do though. That's the thing. It's just you don't like it when it's directly in reference to Cthulhu because you watch The Thing, you like The Thing, that's Lovecraftian style. Alien is like Lovecraftian in a lot of ways.
Not in the specific manner I'm referring to of like the how do I say this? The tropes of the oh my god, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I want to explain the trope that I'm specifically bothered by, which is the whole cultists following an elder god thing, and just shut the fuck up. I don't care.
Either way,
Chris, I give it a 1 out of 10. That's I really.
If I have to give it a positive score, I guess I give it a 1 out of 10 too. Can't wait. I hope this gets comments.
I want you to know something.
What?
I was tempted when doing this episode to say, Chris, you posed the question, what is sleep? And the answer is something I don't want to talk about anymore. And then I had every intention of starting reading to you a review of a different album I was listening to. I was very tempted to just straight up refuse to do this review.
I apologize. This is the first and last time I'm going to apologize for having an idea. I wish.
No, don't apologize to it.
I wish that we had both slept instead of listening to this and toked instead of this.
Well, I don't do that.
It still would have been preferable to the time I wasted trying to see if I could like this, because I cannot.
Chris,
what have you been listening to lately?
I was like, Chris, what have you been listening to lately?
I'll tell you what. I one thing that I said I think is literally true. I think other music just sounds better because there's a new Swans album and I don't get it. And they're up there with Radiohead in bands that there are really dedicated fan bases that insist that the band is good and they just don't do anything for me. This whole episode is just gonna get downvotes and downvotes and downvotes. But that said, all music is better in the wake of Sleep Token. They left a trail of shit so strong that like I'm listening to Swans and I'm like, this kind of reminds me of Nick Cave. If I beat this down my throat long enough, I might like it.
Oh my god. It's actually really funny. Man.
But you know how you ever listen to something and you go like, I don't like this, but I feel like if I heard this in the right state of mind and at the right moment,
absolutely.
It would connect. That's how I feel about Swans, and maybe that's the same way with Radiohead, but it just doesn't do anything for me. The new Baroness song was good. I liked that. Right. Their last album was mixed like shit. It was mixed so fucking badly that it ruined the album. So it's nice to hear that this song is mixed like an album and not cement.
Wow, okay.
I don't even think people will argue with me on that.
Mixed like cement is a good statement, though, man.
Could you just listen to this mix for a fucking second?
I feel like I have before, actually.
Because I actually really would have liked this album. But then I also... Okay, so the new song does this weird thing where the guitar solo sounds like it was recorded in a different room or something. And they, like, placed over. Which I won't mind if it's the only song it does that on, but I hope it doesn't become, like, a thematic thing.
Okay.
Just skip ahead a little and just listen to how fucking blown out this mix is.
Oh, God. It's Yeah.
It's
like
genuinely unenjoyable.
You know that thing when it's like, people call it ear rape, right? Like the memification of like you take a sound and just crank the gain until it spikes.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this sounds like. It took me 2 seconds to understand that.
Oh my god. It sounds like shit. There's no one that's going to argue that album sounds good.
Oh, that's funny.
So the new album has some space to breathe, which is pretty cool. Where's this solo at? But also just appreciate this song is mixed.
Oh, what an incredible concept. This actually sounds like music.
Like an album and not cement.
I like that comparison. Oh, that's funny. Well, congratulations. I'm happy for you. Yeah, no, that actually has like a good sound to it.
I like Gina as a backing vocalist too.
They're a band that you've made me listen to numerous times, and I've just never really dedicated a lot of time to them. You know what I mean?
They have some stuff that's really cool, but I also think that like their last 2 albums are mixed so horribly that if you couldn't pull dynamics out of it, I wouldn't be fucking surprised.
Yeah.
Purple doesn't sound good either, but holy fuck, Golden Grey has to be the worst album I've ever listened to, and I listened to Death Magnetic for enjoyment.
That's awful.
Yeah, I like a few songs on it. But you know what I like a bunch of songs on?
What?
The new Dan Avidan with Super Guitar Brothers.
I was going to ask if you listened to it, because that was on my what have I been recently listening to.
I did.
Not that I think it's worth like a huge discussion, but like,
no,
it's a bunch of acoustic covers of popular songs. I think Dan has a really great, like, just like calm but full voice. Yeah. His voice is straight out of the 80s.
Well, we already talked about their first collaboration, so we don't need to go into the second detail because it's very similar. Go ahead.
I think it's very good. I think it's just really good. And there's a few, like, Clocks by Coldplay is not a song I typically think much of, but I like the cover on here. I think it was done really well. It sounds really nice. It's great.
I can agree with that. I also think that there's a few songs on here that are kind of unsung favorites of mine. Like, I really like Time Stands Still by Rush, and it's good to see that was his Rush pick for this album, because he has to have a Rush pick.
He always has to do a Rush pick.
But that's a good kind of more obscure one, and I really like that one. It's like kind of one of the poppier Rush songs that's good for his voice. I'm sure you were really excited to see Big Empty. It's
actually funny that you mentioned that, 'cause that's actually not the one that I was about to say. There is a pick on here that I was super excited to see.
I said that because it was the Stone Temple Pilots song, and I know you.
And that's I just think it's funny that you were just like, because I was so sure you were actually gonna call out like my real answer here, and then you lost me at the last second.
Don't Stop Believing.
No.
Okay.
No, but Shape of My Heart.
Okay.
Like if you're gonna pick a Sting song, that's not the one I thought he would pick, but I think it's a great
it's
choice.
A good pick, yeah.
It's a great pick. I think that's a really solid album. I'm glad you mentioned it, because it was, like I said, it was on my list.
And there's a new Cannibal Corpse song, which I know you won't be interested in, but if you're into that kind of thing, then that one is a much better metal song than anything put out by Sleep Token ever. God. Go ahead, Jeff. What have you been listening
to? Well, the Dan Avidan Super Guitar Bros album I have listened to a few times through, which has been very enjoyable. Otherwise, the other day, a man named Peter Brotzman had passed away, and frequently whenever I find that an old musician passes away, I will spend a day listening to them, sort of like in honor. And Peter Brotzman was a jazz saxophonist who mostly did like a lot of free jazz, which I think can also just be described as like, the music that makes people not like jazz. That's what it is. So it's a lot of that. I listened to a lot of noisy saxophone for a day, but hey, man, respect where it is due. Otherwise, Chris, as you are probably aware, we are recording this after June 25th. June 25th is the official start of the Christmas in July season.
Oh my god.
So the Christmas music listening has officially begun.
God, now here's the fucking Jeff lore. I can't get away from it. And now we gotta start praying to the Christmas god or whatever.
The Christmas god. His
name's Christ. He comes to you in his sleep.
No, I was gonna say the Christmas god would be just typically referred to as God by many people.
God, Jeff's gonna start preaching about him and fucking making songs about him.
Or we can talk about Santa.
Yeah,
And
the
that time
true
that he
Christmas
and that
call.
time that he and then that time that he bitch slapped a man.
Oh, what a good movie! We gotta watch that.
We got to. What's that even called?
Kirk
That's the
Cameron's
Kirk Cameron
Saving Christmas.
Saving Christmas. Oh, that's a good one. I love that. Just to clarify, uh, the actual man, the man from Turkey, the man Saint Nicholas, in a debate over the divinity of Jesus Christ, he got into an argument with, I believe, another bishop who was questioning the divinity of Jesus Christ. And Saint Nicholas's response was to, as it is usually described, smite him, which is normally interpreted as he probably just like punched this man in the face. It's a great story.
Well, Kirk Cameron tells it it's even better because he bludgeons the man with a cane.
Yeah. Oh man, it's awesome. It's a great scene.
If you really want to know the spirit of Christmas, you got to check out Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas, because it'll teach you that the real important thing about the season is presents.
Is presence and casual racism. Don't forget that. Don't. Like, how could you forget the one black man in the movie who was just like a really weird racial stereotype?
Oh, what a good movie! 10 out of 10. Better than Sleep Token.
Christopher, are we done?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go Token. Go to sleep.
Okay.